Hello, everybody. Just checking in to make sure we are actually live. Okay. It takes a second here. Let's try it again. There we go. It takes a second here. And I even hear my voice. That's a good sign. Cool. Okay, so the title today is The Importance of Water and Breath in Your Ascension Journey. So let's just adjust this a little bit. And sorry, my arms disappear. I'm getting better lighting. Hopefully it'll be delivered today. Okay, so let's spend a second and talk again about what Ascension is. It's moving through our experience in duality. So duality is separated from God. If we're all part of God and we're all taking a journey as a human avatar, a physical reality, to get into 3D, we had to kind of descend ourselves from our full godhood. And now we're having an experience as a human being in this third dimension reality. The density of the third dimension reality does not permit us to have all our gifts, to have all our awareness, etc. So we install a veil before we come in so that we can have denser energetic based experiences in our body and who we are, taking self-definition, etc. And there's a whole bunch of, we could go into that for hours, but there's a whole bunch of that going on the planet. And essentially, to start to swim through that duality, that density, etc., we are basically trying to shift out of it, get all our lessons complete, clean up karma, things that exist only in 3D reality, and rise up and to fully take back our godhood, if you want to call it that, our connection to source, all our manifestation capabilities, our healing gifts, etc. So when we come into our human experience, we design it before we arrive here. So we create a whole bunch of lessons, trauma, soul contracts, interactions with other people, and then there's a whole bunch of control stuff and other stuff that's just part of this density that layer us on over our time. And it creates a density, a muck around us, a mire in who we are, and hell, well, makes it hard to be happy, makes it hard to be light, makes it hard to make good decisions that are from integrity. And we basically, as we get older in this life, we basically pick up all these beliefs, all this programming, all this mire. I take it as like kind of muck that's kind of caked on our body, and we never got time to clean it off. We believe that we're not worthy, we're bad, maybe we deserving or a victim or whatever. These are all third density type things. So as we're in our journey of awareness, we're starting to build these new boundaries, these new things, these undefining ourselves so that we can climb back to a higher vibration. And to be able to do that, to stay in the lower vibration, there's a whole bunch of things like guilt and shame and trauma and fear and programming that says you're not good enough, or maybe your religion says you can't, you're a sinner if you did this or you did that, or etc. And that hangs with us. It becomes part of our definition. We are gods in a duality situation. We're not aware that everything we're believing is creating in our reality. So as we're moving through this, we're starting to learn and to start to recognize these things and see all this muck and see all these things that are not serving us anymore. And they're trapped in our energetic field. So we see ourselves as physical, like flesh and blood, bones, etc., but we're underneath is an energetic being. It's a being that can be programmed. It's almost like a computer or a machine where we get these beliefs and then it becomes part of our reality. It's like I picture myself as a bald-headed man because when you get older and testosterone and all those stories that are going on create that I'm a bald-headed man, or that I have a good beard, or whatever. These little small things come with us. Oh, I'm a white person, so I have different things in the world, or whatever, or what a black person is, or a yellow person, or whatever. I have no stigma against these things, but they all state what we're allowed to do, and what our race does, and what religion we have, and all these things, and they stick to us. And then we believe that that's part of us over time, but it's not. So think of it as those rules are like energetic blockages. It says, I can't have that, or I can't do that, or it's really hard for a person like me and my race or my culture or my religion to be able to do that. And maybe I'm a sinner because I ate pork and I'm Muslim, and whatever. And these things are all stuck in us. And basically, you just have to start to think of them as energy. So when you got a big energy block in yourself, it causes problems. And the term emotion that we use is actually energy in motion, or motion of the energies of the feelingness that we are as a human being. So if you're feeling bad, you're feeling angry, you're feeling repressed, you're feeling whatever, you're going to find out that these things get stuck in our body. And then when we have a traumatic experience, we end up getting overflowed with energy and emotion of fear, scared, getting hit, maybe feeling wounded, wanting to hurt someone, etc., etc. These energies become little bubbles because they're so overwhelming in energy, our body can't take it. And basically, it'll just create this energy and bundle it up and say, no, I'm not dealing with this right now. And it creates a bubble of that trauma. So it might be of fear, it might be of anger, it might be of frustration, it might be whatever. And then over time, as a human being, and it's guaranteed living in a human 3D experience, you're going to have dozens of these things happening throughout your life, if not hundreds. They get trapped in your body, and we basically just push them down and push them down and push them down, and they end up in our root chakra, down in the lower part of our body, in our hips, in our pelvis, in our womb, if you're a woman, in our genitals, a woman or man, in our asses, etc. So we end up carrying all this stuff that we haven't dealt with. And then we have these things that happen in our life called triggers, where somebody says something and it goes like, ooh, and now all of a sudden that anger is coming up from that experience in the past, but this person has just kind of poked it. I akin it to a splinter. Like the splinter goes in, and it's like, if somebody kind of pushes on that splinter or wiggles it sideways, does it really, really hurt? So basically we just put a rule in and say, okay, I'm not going to go out with women again because I got abused the last time. I'm not going to go to a bar because that's where it happened. We end up creating all these layers of what we call armor. And it in truth, it's less of an armor. It's more like a big Band-Aid that we put over to make sure that nobody pokes that thing. So we don't talk about it. We don't get even close to it. And we just avoid. And then it blows up all of our relationships, all of these things, until we actually end up dealing with it. So if we now start to become aware that these things are inside of us and they're subconsciously guiding our behavior in certain circumstances, then we become conscious of it. We start to see ourselves having the experience of that energy, and all the anger, all the frustration, all the fear, all the whatever shows up. And then all of a sudden, we start realizing we're doing things that we didn't intend to do, only from reaction from another person. And we start projecting this energy of they're doing something to me, or you're translating their actions towards you as this trauma being relived, which creates this like inversion of everything, and it confuses the hell of us. So we end up becoming aware, and this is part of the ascension, the lightening of ourselves, becoming aware of our whys. And once we know our whys, we start to realize that there's trapped energy underneath. Now, for energy to move in our body, we have to be hydrated. So the human body, if anybody knows about medical stuff, is made up of like 80+%, 80-90% water. Sorry, I'm not an expert on it, but a high percentage. And then we're just a whole bunch of like potassium and iron and all these kind of things. We're just this little pile of powder on the ground if we had no water in our body. And when our body gets dehydrated, it makes it very hard for energy to move. It actually starts to clamp down your body. All your cells kind of close off, and they go into kind of like a fight or flight mechanism because they need that water to be able to survive. And then it starts taking it from different parts of your body. So water is hyper important for a human body. So to drink water on a regular basis, and I'm up to the point where I'm drinking easily 4 liters of water a day. And the more the density comes and the more the intensity comes, the only way I can move what shows up is to drink more water. And your body will process it, it'll flush things through. And as I drink more water, I feel better. I feel lighter. It's easy for energies to come through me. I don't feel that tense, kind of like a frustration kind of thing. It's changes everything. And so water helps to start to move energy. Now, if you know anything about water, I'm a computer engineer from my past. Electricity, if you put like 2 posts of a battery into distilled water, actually no water, no electricity, there would be no spark or current or anything happen, because the water in its purest form without any impurities in it, which is salts or magnesium or lime or any of this kind of stuff, doesn't conduct electricity. So we start to understand that if we're drinking like pure filtered water that takes all this stuff out, RO, all this kind of stuff, we're not actually helping our body. So sometimes we have to put a little pinch of sea salt or something into the water, and that creates those electrolytes. That's what Gatorade, that's what all these other things are. They make your body work better. It makes you move the energy of your muscles, eat more easily. The fatigue in it breaks down quicker. Those lactic acids and other things that burn because you're not getting enough water and not enough electrolytes starts to move because we put that little bit of salt in. So what I recommend is you take a big cup of water, maybe 3/4 of a liter or whatever. It's a fairly large cup. Just put whatever sea salt goes in between your fingers, put it in. That sea salt has all these wonderful minerals and stuff, and it's not adding a ton of salt, but it's giving enough that you can start to move energy in your body. So water is really key. Now, to move energy in a human body, you have to use breath. And most people, when they're excited, they're not actually, or in fight or flight, they're not actually breathing. So they only breathe the top third of their lungs a lot of times. So they're just like sipping. And you can hear me do it. It's habit. I do it all the time. But when I can learn to begin to breathe more deeply, so breathing, and you can feel your stomach fill up because your lungs are full and that kind of thing, something changes in your body. You're starting to get a higher percentage of oxygen in your body. And when we're tight, when we're scared, when we're uncomfortable, when we're all these things, we start to stop. We break down. We kind of clear and lock our body, which isn't helping anything. We need to start breathing. So anybody that knows about what oxygen does to the body, it helps in things getting oxidized and cleared and shifting the pH of your body, moving things in a much better, more comfortable way that makes things move clearly and comfortably. I don't know what's going on upstairs. Somebody's bouncing up and down, but anyways, so apologies if you hear that pounding, but as we breathe, beautiful, amazing things start to happen in our body. And it's so beautiful. It's so comfortable. But when we're in flight or fight, when we're scared, when we're not happy, when we're all these other things, we just turn off. Our chest kind of gets inverted. It gets tight. We stop breathing. And it creates actually more unhappiness, more worry in the body. Your body starts to think like, okay, I'm not getting enough oxygen. And we create this cortisol and other responses in our body that says that we're not safe. Things aren't good. This isn't fun, etc. So if we just start breathing, now the other key is to make sure that you, a good way to do this is what we call 4 square breathing. So you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and then breathe out for 4, hold for 4, breathe in for 4, and keep going. What happens then is you get a balance of letting air in and then letting the old air out, which releases the carbon dioxide, the things that aren't serving us. And then that pause in between allows it to be taken into our system. And that it's scientifically proven. You can look it up online. That's the 4 square breathing. I think the military even uses it to calm people down when they get excited in combat, in really high stress situations. They teach you to get that breathing going, because the more you hold your breath, the more you stay tight, the more the oxygen deprivation comes, and it creates this natural frustration or scared or cortisol feeling in your body. So we start to use those tools. So we start drinking water, drink it regularly. Yeah, you're going to have to go to the bathroom more. It's going to detoxify your body. It's going to clean out impurities as stuff shows up. It's going to be beautiful. And then when we start breathing, that also helps moving the free radicals in our body, the poisons, the toxins, the pH imbalance, all this kind of stuff. Because if you're not doing it, your body's probably in that state of imbalance. Now all of a sudden we're breathing. Another thing to get used to, when you breathe out until you can't breathe out anymore. I'll show you. There's in. Yep. Get to that point you can't even say words and you're wheezing, and you're going to clean out the alveoli, the little vessels inside the lungs, and it's going to get rid of all that stuff that's been stuck in there for a long time. And that can be impurities, that can be carbon dioxide, that can be cigarette smoke or stuff you're getting from your environment. Just let that get out. And the more you detoxify your body by getting more oxygen in and all the things that it needs to live, the more vibrant your body's going to be, the more well equipped you are going to be to deal with all the energies that are going to show up, the triggers that are going to show up, the emotions that are going to show up, and they're going to pass through your body really quick. But we have to have these tools. If you're trying to release emotion and you're crying and you're upset and you're moving something in your body, if you don't have enough water in it, if you don't have the minerals going in it, it will block you from releasing that stuff. And we want to just create this easy exit path to let this stuff move through our body. And that's what water and breathing will do. So when you're feeling tight, when you're feeling off, when you're feeling triggered, use breath, drink some water, etc. Those are the 2 most important things that you can ever do in the whole Ascension journey, is to get enough water in your body. Maybe you need some salt in it, just a little bit. I'm not talking about enough that's going to affect your other stuff in your body, but it's enough that gets the saline going. Even use like a Gatorade or whatever. It's got a whole bunch of other, sometimes like artificial sweeteners and other things that kind of block some of the movement in our stuff in our body. So I just recommend good purified water. What I use is there's this, I'll put it in the notes or whatever, but it's a filter that goes on the top of a water cooler, and it's got 2 stages. There's this big, I think it's a GWF is the name of it, and I can't remember the name, but you basically just pass it through just like a Brita, but it's in a water thing, and it's got a huge filter about this big long, and that cleans out a lot of the chlorine, a lot of the fluoride, a lot of the things that are impure in the water. They get into our system and cause problems. So I'll put a note for that in the bottom of how you can do that. Even like some of the fridges have these like water filters that are not the greatest ones in the world, or a Brita or whatever, but as long as you're starting to filter water, because there's a lot of stuff in it, that'll help as well. Getting more purified water. If you can get spring water that's directly from the spring, or Kangen water is pH balanced and it takes a lot of the impurities out. But those can cost a lot of money. You don't need all those things if they cost a lot, if you can't or don't have a friend that can do it. So all I'm saying is get pure water, get a lot more breathing, be more conscious of your breathing. And that's kind of the first step in the whole journey. So anyways, if there's questions, please put them below. If anybody's having problems with any of this or want to ask what they're doing, if that works or whatever, bring them up. And I'm more than happy to have them here. I also put a post on my timeline earlier today about new perspectives on reality. It's a YouTube page where I post all of this kind of stuff. Send that to people that are on their journey and they're getting lost and they're not sure or whatever. There's millions of different topics that are discussed in there. A lot of them are broken down by the different videos. You can go look in them. This is all to just help people find a no-cost way of getting some wisdom to help them move forward in these times. So I love you all. I thank you for joining me, and look forward to talking to you on the next one. Thank you. Have a good day. See you soon.